Sirens wailed as I pulled up to the shore. A police cruiser sped straight toward my dock, and there stood Karen, pointing at me like I was some criminal. All because I was riding a jet ski on my own lake, right on my own ranch. Just 3 weeks earlier, I had moved back to my hometown after buying an abandoned ranch that once belonged to my family. Officially, it was 40 acres of land, including a large natural lake that hadn't been maintained in over a decade. I restored the dam, cleaned up the shore, built a wooden dock, and as a reward bought myself a jet ski. When you work 80-hour weeks and build everything with your own 2 hands, you want to feel the wind in your face sometimes. But what I didn't know back then was that the property bordered a neighborhood governed by the Sunny Glen HOA. And at the center of that nightmare stood Karen Mitchell, their eternal president, a self-declared queen of the entire subdivision. It started with polite notes.
Please refrain from creating waves on the community water feature. Jet skis are prohibited under HOA regulations. The noise disrupts the peace of Sunny Glen residents.
I ignored them, because I wasn't part of their HOA. And the lake? It was mine. Then one morning, I walked outside and saw that someone had scratched the word criminal into the side of my brand new Tesla Model Y. One of the side mirrors was lying smashed on the ground. My fist clenched. I had only just installed a security system. I went back inside, opened my phone, and played the footage. Karen, at 3:47 a.m., wearing a pink bathrobe over pajamas, flashlight in hand. She rammed a cart into the side of my car, and then started writing on the hood with a marker. Then she laughed. I called the police. But by the time the sheriff's deputy arrived, Karen was already there screaming before I could even speak.
He threatened me? He's throwing parties on the lake. He's mentally unstable and spying on children.
Thankfully, I had the footage on my phone. I handed it over in silence. The deputy's expression shifted from professionally neutral to visibly disgusted. He looked at Karen, then back at the video.
Ma'am, is this you at 3:47 a.m. vandalizing his vehicle?
Karen started to deny it, but the words froze in her throat when the deputy glanced down again.
You're under arrest for vandalism, trespassing, and filing a false police report.
But that was only the beginning. The next morning, I woke up to find a new fence blocking the road to my dock. A fence with a lock and a shiny new HOA sign, use of natural resource restricted. Violations will be fined $500. I couldn't believe it. I drove to City Hall, and sure enough, they had filed a request for a temporary restriction, claiming the lake had historically been shared by the neighborhood. But what they didn't count on was this. I owned everything, including the land under that fence. So I hired a lawyer, filed a countersuit. While the case moved through the courts, I installed an electronic gate with a scan system and a new sign, private property, entry by permission only. And then I turned it into a business, $25 to access the shoreline, $40 if you wanted to swim. And for the HOA residents, denied. Karen was the first to show up.
You can't do this. This is illegal.
This, I said, handing her a copy of the property map, is legal. And this is the lawsuit. Good luck in court, Karen. The trial didn't take long. The judge glanced over the papers and simply scoffed.
You had no authority to restrict access to land you don't own, Miss Mitchell. You're also being charged with vandalism, unlawful enforcement, and falsifying municipal documents.
Karen tried to protest, cried, said she was defending the interests of the community. The judge only asked,
Did you know your HOA is now liable for $70,000 in damages for violating private property rights?
She went pale,